What's up, Harrison?
Much. I'm out here outside Halifax, spending some time with family, enjoying my life, I guess. It's good.
And you recently graduated early from Fractal Bootcamp. Is that right?
Yes, first grad of my cohort. I'm now working at Supply Co. I roughly tripled my income with this job move, which was pretty awesome. Definitely like went above my expectations with that. Pretty excited.
Okay.
Pretty good stuff.
So yeah, basically, can you introduce yourself? I want to know where you're at now in life and in your career. Yes, but I'm kind of curious with the whole story. Like, you could you could start wherever you think makes the most sense. Where like Fractal Bootcamp fits into your story. It could be with just your most recent job, or it could be like college or whatever.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but I'm curious to just hear like what's the long arc of your career, and how does it lead up to like now?
Um, I think the shortest version of that story is like
Give me the long version.
okay, well, I'm going to give the short version, then I'm going to give the long
Okay,
version.
okay,
But the
okay,
short
okay.
version's like ADHD gifted kid burnout syndrome on Twitter. Like I kind of feel like
Totally.
Fractal was sort of my rehab out of that universe and out of that particular failure mode. I think I was always like pretty bright as a kid, but I had a lot of like ADHD related behavioral issues. I just like acted out a bunch in class. I did well in my English classes, my humanities classes broadly, but I think around high school I started to fall behind a bit in math just because like I missed things when I was a kid, and then once that foundation's shaky, it starts to collapse. I
Do you
came
have a
from a little
theory
bit.
for why you were acting out now?
Um, oof. I mean, that's something like it's hard to say. I think a lot of it was like when I was like a really little kid, like in elementary school, I just wasn't engaged. I went to a really crappy public school in like a suburb of Detroit from when I was like in kindergarten through second grade. I think that gave me a really bad foundation. Like I just don't think they were very well prepared to deal with me. It feels kind of arrogant to say like I was too smart for it. I don't really think that's the language you should use around like kids that are that small, but I think I could have been much more engaged with my classes, and I don't think that yeah, I just don't think it was like a good environment for me. And I think I had like very negative associations with school at a very young age. Like I don't remember this, but my mom was telling me that my kindergarten chart had this like these like clothespins on a like traffic light where like you're in the green, you make a mistake, they put you in the yellow, and you make another mistake or you act out, they put you in the red. And I was in the red every single day. And I was the only kid that was in the red every single day. And that was just like my identity as
Oh
like
my
the
god.
fuck up kid in the class. And I think that was really, really bad
Oh
for
my.
me. And I think they're probably like at a pretty young age, I think I probably developed some feelings of like emotional unsafe and like insecurity or just not feeling safe in school, maybe. And then that kind of just compounded throughout my life, you know. In university, I majored in CS. In my second year, I dropped out of CS. I kind of had this like little existential crisis. Like I was smoking a lot of weed at the time. I didn't really know how to like navigate the professional world. It felt like all my peers had like things they wanted to do or interested in stuff, and I was just like kind of coasting. So I switched into English literature, which I was really, really good at in high school. And that was kind of like the extent of my logic is like, I will be better at this and I can figure out what I want to do professionally later. I think English literature was really good for me in a lot of ways. Took all the courses my university offered in literary theory and got like kind of a nice high level overview of a lot of philosophical concepts, psychoanalysis, kind of like broader picture of different ways people have interpreted culture and derived meaning from texts throughout history. I think that was really good for me, like, just as a person holistically. I thought about law school at the end of that, and then I like didn't really want to do it. I was like, it was like I need to make money, right? Like I need to get a job now. I have an English degree. What am I going to do? Um, I thought about the law school thing because it's like the direct route, but I realized I didn't want to practice law. I just want to make money, and I already had this like CS foundation. So I talked to some people at my school, kind of poked around like what my options were, and I realized I could do the CS degree and have all my English credits count as electives towards that. And that was a really emotionally scary thing to do because I like dropped out of CS. At this point, I'm in like my early 20s. I'm like, I think like 22. And coming back to CS was very, very scary. And it was this real like, can I do this? Like previously, I accepted I can't do this. I burned out. I am a fuck
Hmm.
up. I am a failure. Just going back, like I remember retaking discrete math 2 was like the first course I flunked out of. And that's when I realized like, I don't know if I'm going to get through this degree right now. Like going back into that was really, really scary. And getting over that hurdle and recognizing like, oh, like this isn't like it's not that I can't do this, it's that I feel like emotionally unsafe doing this. I think was really freaky for me. And I learned a lot of lessons in that. That was like a huge step forward for me. It was coming back to CS, finally passing calculus, finally passing discrete math, realizing that like it's not that I was stupid, it's that I had like bad foundations, but those foundations are fixable. That was a huge step forward. Around the time I got back into CS, I got involved with a startup that one of my classmates had founded. I initially was working for them pro bono, just to put it on my resume to look for a job down the line or get an internship or something, just get some CS experience in my resume again, coming off of that humanities degree. Um, that went well. They got the first round of funding. They brought me on as the founding engineer. The company ended up moving to a small town, like a small city about 4 hours north of Toronto called Sudbury. They got an investment from like the city's, like a fund connected to the city. And I moved up there. And this is like where things kind of stalled out for me. This was last summer. I graduated my CS degree. That was a big win, but I wasn't excited about the work I was doing. I really, really disliked living in Sudbury. I wasn't getting paid very much compared to like what I would make in the States working in CS. I had some struggles in my personal life. I went through a really difficult breakup. And I kind of realized like I can't do this anymore. Like I need to change something about my life. Like I cannot do this. Like this isn't working. Like I am going to go insane. Like I feel so depressed. It was a very dark place. So around last December, I kind of called it quits. I moved back with my parents in Virginia. I was still working remotely for that company in Canada, but I knew I probably wasn't going to keep doing that forever. And I was like kind of just desperately looking like, what can I do to get out of here? And I came up with this idea kind of arbitrarily, like I want to move to New York. I visited New York a few times. I think there's like the stereotype of like moving to New York in your mid 20s, reinventing yourself. And, I'm not that unique. So I thought I could do this, be a fresh start for me. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I actually like pivoted for a while. I was like applying for like a sales position that like was looking kind of promising. And I kind of similar to law thing. It's like, I realized I'm only doing this for money. I have no passion for it. I was really scared to apply for CS positions because I didn't feel like I learned enough at my last company. It was all kind of like fresh grads and I didn't have a ton of mentorship and I honestly didn't work very hard. Like I was going through a pretty dark period and I wasn't like moving forward. I didn't think I had like the chops to like impress anyone in New York with like my technical abilities. And it was around this time I stumbled into Fractal Bootcamp, which had kind of been like on my periphery for a while. And at first I kind of ignored it. I'm like, boot camps are scams. Like, what's even going on here? What are these guys? Who do they think they're
So true.
fooling? Like, I literally just like bounced off entirely. And I saw it again a couple weeks later. And I think I saw one of my mutuals on Twitter had done it, and she was saying really good things about her. She had just gotten employed, and then it kind of dawned on me, like, wait, like maybe this actually is an option for me. And I actually remember the moment, like rereading it, kind of hitting me, like if this works, this would do exactly what I need it to do, right? And then from there, it's just kind of vetting, like, does this work? So like I reached out to a bunch of people on Twitter who are related to Fractal. I came up and visited, and, like sat in on a day and talked to some people face to face. I started crunching the numbers financially and realized like I could swing this. It would be a little tight, but like I wouldn't have any problems. I've actually got a job in New York, and people in my life were more supportive of it than I thought they were going to be. I thought I was going to be told I'm crazy and I'm falling for a scam, but broadly it was like, you're an adult, you can figure this out for yourself. And yeah, I took the leap. I did the program. It went really well. I learned a lot. I want to get into more detail about that, but just like broad picture, like after 7 weeks, I did an internship. They liked me. They made me an offer, and now I'm working in New York City for the foreseeable future. Things have really, it's kind of insane how much my life has changed like in the last 3 months.
And how much are you making now?
180. Before this, I was making 70 Canadian, which is,
Good.
it's a pretty big jump. Yeah.
Three 3.5x by my calculation.
Something along those lines. Depends on what the conversion ratio is that day.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's like when I came into Fractal, I was thinking like, oh, like if I could make six figures, like someone would pay me $100,000. Like that's a lot of money. And then I talked to you, and you were kind of like, you valued me higher than that, which I appreciate. You're like, you should probably be looking at like 140 to 160, and then yeah, it came out even higher than that, which I'm very very happy about. It's kind of surreal. Like I don't know what to do with this much money. Like it feels like the psychology behind it is like I'm in like a whole new like universe. Like, have you seen One Piece?
No, only a little bit, but I've
Okay,
seen a lot
okay,
of other
okay.
shonen.
I know it's like the post time skip. Like we're in like the whole new world
Mm,
now. Like this is like a completely different dimension, right?
mm.
Like the bimodal, like software salaries are very bimodal, and like this was like a very clear hop from one peak to like the other peak, right? Like I'm on a different career track now.
I'm
Um,
curious. Uh, the money's great, and
yeah,
I think is a pretty clear improvement in a lot of people's sense of liberties, just to like have enough, such that you are
yeah, yeah,
living in
yeah.
this other world of abundance and stuff like that. But did you any other transformations that you feel like came out of fractal tech that are as valuable, more valuable, less valuable? I'm just curious, like, what else you feel like the program gave you other than the job.
I think this was like another significant step forward for me in terms of like rehabilitating my relationship with hard work and my relationship with my own capacity for like intellectual work. I talked previously about how when I did the CS degree, like that was a big leap of faith for me to like go back to this program that I originally flunked out of and like go and take and pass these courses that I really struggled with and wasn't able to complete when I was like 18, 19 years old. Um, and I think Fractal like kind of did the same thing for me professionally. Like my last job, I really struggled to like believe in my ability to that like if I put in work there will be benefits. Like I wasn't I was in this really bad loop where like I felt like I was an underperformer, and because I felt like I was an underperformer, like trying to get out of that felt like kind of fruitless in a way. Like it doesn't matter what I do, people are going to see me as someone who doesn't work hard. Even if I do work hard, I'm only going to keep it up for like a week or two and then I'm going to fall back and be at like square one. So why even bother to start, right? Getting this I was in this really bad spiral where like I just wasn't able to like actually sit down and grind out something long enough to like reap rewards for it. And there's a thing on Fractal like on the website, like a quote from Paul Graham talking about like once you work really hard, it changes your life entirely because anything you do past that point, you know you have that capacity. Like once you've done that once, you always know like I am able to work really hard when I need to, and that just opens up so many doors for you. And I think Fractal kind of put me in a place where like I sort of had no choice. That was terrifying the first week. Like I was freaking the fuck out. Like I thought like there's no way I'm going to be able to work like 50, 60 hour weeks. Like I'm going to like crash and burn and die. And then it was fine. Like I was in an environment where a bunch of people are all doing the same thing and I was enjoying what I was doing, and like I had this like maniacal like gripping like the like just locking in like it's all going to be okay, like it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, I'm going to put in the work and I'm going to have a reward for it, it's going to work out for me. And like once I kind of got past that initial terror and started like leaning into what am I feeling, like how can I make this easier on myself in the moment, like yeah, like things kind of relaxed. And I realized like actually I have been capable of working hard this entire time. Like it's just my environment. It's just like I didn't feel emotionally safe. It's just all these little things. It's this like set of dozens of tiny micro adjustments I need to make. And not every day is going to be perfect. Not every day is going to be like a banger, high output, like I did it all. But if I keep showing up, like my average ability to work is going to increase. I'm going to, if I keep working on feeling more emotionally safe around hard work and ambitious projects, I'm going to do better on those in the long run. Like that will compound over time. And like now starting my job and actually getting paid to work is adding like another layer to that where like it's stressful again in a new way, but having like gone back to the CS degree and then having take the leap of faith to Fractal, like I have more confidence. Like this is just like the next step. Like I'm going to keep improving from here. My life is going to become more manageable and I'm going to have more deeply internalized sense of my own competence. And yeah, like it gave me a lot of faith that like this process of like growth is going to continue, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm just rambling right now, but
No, this is all
yeah,
very helpful. I'm
I think
curious,
like
yeah,
yeah, I
even
was gonna
more
yeah,
explicitly too, because oh, yeah, go ahead. You
I
you go
was gonna say
first.
I think like 2 years ago, I don't think I could have done Fractal. Like I just don't think I had like the emotional baseline to like handle that level of hard work. Like I think I actually would have crashed out. I was talking with Paris a bit about that. Like if I had moved to New York any earlier than I did, I probably wouldn't have been able to handle it. I think I came at the right time. I don't think I was like putting myself in like a dangerous or unstable position, but like I was really, really grateful for the prerequisite work I did. I was really grateful I went back to therapy and did a bunch of IFS work earlier this year. I think that like laid a foundation that like you guys kind of picked me up right where I was. Like, okay, well, this is like the next hard thing you're gonna do. And I was ready to do that, and the process continues from here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm curious. You've definitely touched on this in a lot of your answers, but like even more explicitly, how did fractal tech affect your mental health, or how did this transition overall affect your mental health? And what's that kind of inner phenomenological journey been like?
Um. Ooh, that's a good question. I think like a huge part of it that immediately comes to mind is I had less time to like fret about my mental health because I was just so busy. Like that was an initial like what's the saying? Like idle hands are the devil's plaything. And I think that like I'd reached this point where like I knew like in theory I could do this. Like I was willing to make a bet on myself. And then Fractal just provided me with like just very clear next steps. Like anytime I was panicking about like how am I going to improve my life? How am I going to like solve these problems? How am I going to get a job? How am I going to like enjoy my work? How am I going to whatever? it was like I could talk to an instructor, or I could like sit down and look at the curriculum, or I could just take a deep breath and look around me at all my other members of my cohort I'm working with and realize like the only thing I actually have to worry about is like the screen in front of me and the immediate problem I'm facing. And it was this very like tight container where like that is all I have to worry about all day, every day, like just one step at a time. And it will compound, like pretty quickly, like within the first few weeks, I realized I was building things like I would not have known how to build before. And that was like a huge, like, yeah, like that was a huge relief for me to realize like I'm able to do this. I have this like existence proof that I'm capable of doing these things. And I know what the moment to moment experience of that looks like. And that was very reassuring. Like, I think sometimes before this, in like less structured environments, when I thought about changing my life, I was aware like, okay, I want to make a big change. And to make a big change, I have to make a bunch of tiny changes. And those tiny changes were very distressing. It was very hard to feel safe making them because I didn't know if I was pointing in the right direction, or I didn't know if I would keep it up, or I didn't know if like I was going to get through it. Sort of, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Whereas like
makes a lot of
Fractal,
sense.
it was more like it was like this gave me this like higher authority, sort of like I could trust that like if I just keep taking steps, things will get better. Like they will get better personally. I will feel more confident in myself, like mentally and emotionally, because I'll have this existence proof of hard work and its benefits. And frankly, if it blows up in my face, I have someone else I can blame. I think that was actually like a non-negligible part of it. Like if Fractal really didn't work for me, like, and I didn't get a
Yeah,
job and like
fuck
I didn't
me,
really learn
right?
anything, I could literally just be like, "Fuck this guy, dude. What do you mean? I got scammed." Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like as opposed to like if I do it myself and it blows up, well then I'm the idiot. Like you get if you were my
Yeah,
scapegoat.
yeah,
That would
yeah, yeah.
probably helps to some extent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that whole set of conversations. One thought that came to mind for me from the audience perspective almost is just like that sounds in some ways too good to be true, or it sounds a little bit like how is it even possible that I don't have to worry about all the other things in my life? I'm curious if you have an
Yeah.
answer to that. Like literally how was it that you stopped fretting? Like, and you kind of answered it, but I still
No, no, for
I'm in
sure, for sure.
disbelief.
Yeah. Yeah, like again, I think a lot of it was like I was in a place in my life where I was sort of prepared to stop breading is like a big part of it. I think that's probably like 70, 60, 70% of it is just the fact that like I hated living in Sudbury so much and I felt like I had no prospects and like I needed to change, like I was not going to keep doing what I was doing. So like I really had nothing to lose in that sense. Like I could really pour myself into this and it blows up in my face like so what, dude? Like, I'm back to living with my parents. I have a pretty strong safety net. Like, I'm not going to be on the streets. I'm not going to starve to death. I'm just going to have to, like, sell my car and then look for a job elsewhere or something. Right.
Hmm.
Um, but I think the other side of it, again, I think the scapegoat thing's a huge part of it too. The fact that, like, if this doesn't work, it's not as, like, load bearing on my ego because I'm following someone else's plan for a little bit. Right. Like,
Hmm.
that's a huge part of not having to fret as much
You
as, like,
basically believe Fractal provided you with a plan that said like almost like a nutritionist or something. It's like, hey, if
yeah,
you do
yeah.
this, you will achieve the outcome. The outcome is like a
You
guaranteed outcome given the results or given
Yeah,
like the
basically,
inputs.
yeah. You
Yeah.
like once described this program to me as like almost like kind of like rehab, and I think about that a lot. Like that really like clicked in my head. Like it was kind of like a rehab program. Like if you go to a rehab center and you follow the program and you follow their rules, you're not going to drink. Like you're not going to relapse. Like by the nature of the rules. Like if you do this, your life is going to get better. Like if you're in rock bottom and you're addicted and like you have nothing going for you and you go to rehab and you legitimately put your all into it, like your life will get better, like deterministically,
Right.
And this was kind
I
of like a rehab
Yeah.
sort of environment in that way.
Similarly,
And
I
I
compare
just,
it to like a military boot camp as well, where it's like, look, if you follow the program, like you're gonna get strong. That's
yeah,
just what
yeah,
happens. Like you're gonna be
100%.
able to run more. You're gonna be able to climb mountains. You're gonna be able to carry heavy weights. Like you're gonna be able to stay up and wake up in the middle of the night and like go on hikes. Like that's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
what will happen.
No, totally. I think like I put my faith in the deterministic program. There's not much else to say other than that. I think the fact that like I spoke to people who had similar outcomes really helped. And frankly, like I felt this was just for my case specifically. Like I came in with some prior engineering experience. Like I recognized pretty quickly, like I'm sort of in the upper band of this cohort. Everyone's working really hard. I'm really happy with everyone, and I think they're all going to do really well. But like I was able to graduate early, and I was able to get like a higher offer than someone coming in with zero experience might be able to. So like knowing like okay, well this program has worked for people with substantially less experience than me, so there's really like no reason it wouldn't work for me.
That's
It
actually
was
a good thing
also
to double
pretty
click on. I think
reassuring.
a lot of people think
Yeah.
boot camps are for beginners.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you kind of just implied that the boot camp was actually better for you because you had experience. Why? What
I
happened
think
there?
like so the bootcamp kind of had like I know how to program, I know how to build products. I didn't know how to like a lot of it was like the emotional in safety, like lack of safety. And I think coming in with experience means that the set of problems I had to solve was smaller. Like I didn't have to learn how to do like a leak code easy. I didn't have to learn how to do hello world. I didn't have to learn what a web server is in theory. What I did have to do is like learn how to like write unit tests for the first time in my life. What I did have to do is learn how to use TypeScript. What I did have to do is learn how to use Next.js. I did have to get over the emotions around like working hard and like taking a risk on myself. I did have to like you know, deal with like the stress of looking for an internship and like dealing with all that. But again, like this is like a subset. Everyone who comes with zero experience still has to do all those things.
Did you ever
There's
feel like you were
so
being held back by
absolutely not,
a
absolutely
curriculum that
not,
was going too
no way,
slow?
no way. I think like there's like always going to be improvements to the curriculum, but I didn't feel like that was my problem. I felt like at any point in time I could sit down with the instructor and be like, "This isn't working for me. I want to do this instead." And it was universally like, "Yeah, I think that's probably true for X, Y, Z. You might want to consider ABC." But I always felt like my best interests were at the heart of it. I mentioned like why it's good for people that like circling back though about like having more experience and still benefiting from boot camp. I think these problems are still really really hard to solve. And just because you have some of them solved, just because like you know the basics of programming doesn't mean you know how to like ace a job interview. And just because you know how to like write backend Python doesn't mean you know how to do like full stack TypeScript. And like any if you can solve any of these problems with boot camp, all of the answering any of these things is so valuable. Like going from someone who can't interview at all to someone who can like interview like flawlessly, like can increase your lifetime earnings by millions of dollars. And if like that's all you get out of boot camp, then it instantly pays for itself, you know? And like it's hard to break down like exactly what I knew, exactly what I didn't know. But holistically, like just being able to focus on like polishing up the things I needed to polish up at boot camp was still like totally worth the value for me. And I think if I was trying to like cover everything, I would almost feel like I'm getting less value out of it because I couldn't go as deep on everything, if that makes sense. You know, I don't know what the experience is with someone coming to boot camp with no experience, but for me, like a junior who couldn't quite make that jump to senior, who like had no ties to the New York tech market and didn't know how to get in there, felt some like emotional stuff he still had to work through with respect to like working hard and like finding a job in the city and whatnot. Total no brainer. Very, very good for me.
Um, yeah, I just like that point in particular because we designed the program for engineers, for
Yeah.
people who already had coding experience, and like, yeah, we can help people who've never coded before, by giving them a pre-course and making sure they're prepped and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
we really designed the program to be something where there like it's a finishing school for
Yeah.
engineers. It
Yeah.
exists to make sure that you're not leaving any of your potential on the table. And if you're leaving your potential on the table, you're leaving money on the table, you're leaving career options on the table, you're leaving your ability to found companies on the table, like you're leaving good relationships, like good working relationships for the rest of your life. There's all these things that will set you free
Mm-hmm.
if you can master them. Like mastery sets people free in general. And so if especially the parts that you don't want to master, like we are gonna narrow in on those things. You know, you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to hide from us. And we're going to be like, hey, I noticed that, like, actually, you seem really bad at this particular thing that you keep avoiding doing. Like, can you go ahead and do that for 4 days straight and then show me how
Yeah.
much better you are?
100%, dude. 100%. And also, like, there's also just like so much value in having someone over your shoulder. Like, just frankly, like, if I did this in my bedroom at home, I would scroll Twitter. I would not lock in. I would not do that. Like, the social aspect of it, like the fact like the guy next to me is working, I should be working too, like really contributes a lot to that. There's like always going to be value just in having someone who holds you accountable. Like having a real person who cares about your well-being and knows more than you in this domain is holding you accountable.
Yeah. Um, in your opinion, who should do the program? Who should sign up for Fractal Tech? If somebody was listening to you talk right now, like, how would they know for sure Fractal Tech is going to change their life in the way that it changed yours?
If you have been programming for a few years or like you have like a few hundred hours of experience programming but don't know how to like turn that into a career, like if you can like solve elite code medium but can't imagine how you'd like spin up a website from scratch and like with like functionality people actually need to use, like you can do auth, you can do like handle a database, handle like the full stack from end to end, like that seems like the ideal candidate for me. There are a lot of people I've known who like know how to program but are not engineers. There are even people I know who have like been paid to program but would not like really identify as engineers or be able to like function as engineers independently. And I think that that's kind of the ideal candidate. I think I was a little bit ahead of where that person might be at, but not like radically far ahead. And I think that that's kind of the ideal. Like this is something, like you said, it's a finishing school for engineers. There are a lot of programs out there, a lot of online courses that take you like through learning to program, but don't make you an engineer. I think basically every CS degree program in the country teaches you to program, but doesn't make you an engineer. And I think that seems like the ideal to me. I also think like a lot of what we're seeing right now with like CS grads saying they can't get hired is because of this. Like people come out and they know how to do CS, but they don't know what it's like to be an engineer. They don't know how to be a software engineer. And like they don't even seem to understand or have the language to recognize those are two different things. Would you agree with that? Like I
I
think
totally
that
agree. I totally agree.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the finishing school analogy is just, it's the best. It's the people I can help the most. Like, there are people out there
Yep.
like you. I've talked to a lot of them who, like, either can't find jobs, even though they are, like, 3.7 GPA CS students or math students or whatever, or
Yep.
who are making, like, 50K, 60K, and should be making 180, literally,
Yeah.
in the city.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, and they should be making more than that. Like, 180, that's your first year salary. But really,
Yep.
like, give it, like, 3 months in my program and then another year in industry, and then you should be making 250, like 260. um, for a lot of people who are capable of working hard, and have that sort of drive and are smart, the market for engineering is, literally, it's unlimited. There's like a huge amount of business operations that need to be automated.
There's
So
so many
you
founding
just,
engineer positions in the world.
I know,
Yeah.
they're everywhere. Anyway, I that's most of the place I wanted to, like, I had an agenda to cover. I'm curious if there's
Yeah.
stuff that it was really, really salient to you about the boot camp that we haven't covered yet, or um, that you want to talk to me about even.
I think the other side of it is like I wrote an essay early in the boot camp about like learning to love hard work and like learning to feel emotionally safe doing hard work. And there's something like I kind of want to touch on some of those ideas because then the other side of it is there's a lot of people who want to work hard who are like just tortured by the relationship with work. And this was me for a very, very long time. Like I had this like whole like Protestant work ethic in my head. Like I wanted to work hard, but I didn't have like there were just some like emotional tools missing. Like there were some blockers, there were some things in the way. There was no existence proof. There was no like belief in myself. Like I come up with these plans, like if I can just put like 200, 300, 400 hours into this, like my whole life is going to change. Everything's going to be better. And then I'd get it like the first dozen or 2 dozen hours in and then just kind of like fall apart because I was afraid or because it didn't feel safe or because I didn't believe in my ability to like see it through. And if I'm not going to see it through, I'll be back at square one anyway. If I'm back at square one anyway, let's just like go back to square one now and smoke weed and scroll Twitter again, you know? And I did this for a very, very long time. And I think that this boot camp, like, I'm talking about things that are very subtle and very internal. And I think it's like hard for people to recognize exactly where they're at. I don't know like who this is going to resonate with, but I'm willing to like put it out there that like if what I'm talking about resonates with you, you would probably benefit from this boot camp. You'd probably benefit from being in a spot with like emotionally mature people who care about you and want to see you succeed really, really badly because it's mutually beneficial for them and for you. Like just standing over your shoulder and walking you through this stuff and like putting you in an environment with a bunch of other people who are also like in a stage of life where they're willing to like pay a deposit and take a big risk and do a program like this. I think that like if you want it, like if you want to work hard but you don't know how, this boot camp or something similar to it is like an unbelievably valuable experience. I think you get the same thing like by doing like a military boot camp or by like I don't know, like throwing yourself into like a job where like failure isn't an option. But I yeah, like beyond just like people looking to break into CS, I think there's like that personal development side of it that I really benefited from. My life's not perfect. I still have things I'm gonna be working through, but this was like a substantial step forward in my ability to like believe in myself in like a very holistic, like broad sense of what that means.
Yeah, and even work hard is like close to misnomery. It's like work a lot or
Yeah,
work
yeah, true,
intensely,
true.
or
That
work
was
with
something
like
I
focus and passion or something, work
yeah.
with drive. There's like hard, like you can get into these states where you're like, oh, it's not even hard this week. It's like, it's just a lot.
Yeah, and I think a part of it too is like when you do it for this long, like you're gonna hit bad days. Like there were days in boot camp where I wrap it up and writing my end of day. And I'm like, what did I even do today, man? Like I was zoned out all afternoon. Like I just was kind of cooked. It wasn't really happening for me. Like that's gonna happen. You cannot avoid that. Like by the like nature of like some days gonna be better than others, and therefore not every day can be the best day. And just like having to work on a long enough time span where you like develop a resilience to bad days and recognize that they will come and they will go, and sometimes like you're just gonna have a dud. Like that's good. That's a good lesson to learn. I think that's something I really learned from boot camp. I think like I'm way better at handling a dud now without feeling like I have personally failed. Like just recognizing like there's a spectrum of possible performances I can have in a day, and because it's a spectrum, sometimes I will be on the lower end of that spectrum,
So you're
and
saying
I'll be
if I have
back a
a
bit
bad
later.
day, I shouldn't just like crash out, quit my job,
Yeah,
give
literally,
up
I
on
would
life, and wait until I feel the motivation to have a good day again?
like literally, yeah, and that's not far off from what I did for quite a while. I think there's a lot of people who do that. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like, yeah, like,
The bad day actually signifies that there's something fundamentally wrong with you that will
yeah,
never improve.
literally. Oh, dude, you did two PRs rather than one today. It's over for you, man. It's like two PRs rather
Yeah,
than
dude,
three. Like,
hang up the coat. Yeah, it's
hang up
over.
the coat. You're done. If you're not objectively better every single day, you're not gonna make it. Like, no.
I'm a monotonically increasing productivity function.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I
Also,
think
you
like,
you touched on something interesting in your
yeah.
previous question that was like it was about the social part, which I realize we haven't touched on very much. What was the social experience like? Did you make friends? Like, are you going to be taking relationships with you after the boot camp?
I would like to. I mean, it's still kind of early. I just graduated. I will say that like leaving to graduate early, one of my like biggest disappointments was like I'm not going to get to spend as much time with these people in person anymore, and like I'm not going to be able to develop those relationships through boot camp. And if I want to preserve those relationships, I have to reach out more. But I really enjoyed everyone I worked with, and I definitely like to stay in touch with people, particularly those who are staying in New York. I'm really thrilled to be here in the city, and like hearing everyone's stories and how they got there was really interesting. I took a lot of comfort like in the fact that I knew everyone else in the program was like in roughly a similar spot to me. Like all of them had decided I'm going to pay Andrew and I'm going to change things. And the reasons for why they're doing that were different, but they were all in a transitionary phase. And there's a lot of like that can be a very lonely place to be in. Like I moved to New York, I didn't know anyone in the city. I had no idea like what I was doing. It's all new. And immediately I'm in a room with like 14 other people, all of whom like some are coming from different places in the city, some are coming from all over the world, but you know, broadly speaking, they're all still in a transitory phase. And that was really, really comforting. Like that immediately, like I had a community, I had some solidarity. When I told people like kind of the rough, quick version of my story, they could like relate to it, at least in like from some angle or some capacity. And that was really, really nice. That was like way better than doing this alone in my bedroom. That's for sure.
And what
I
about the
think at in
instructors? What's the quality of relationship that you have with the instructors, or that you had while you were a student?
it's really funny. I think my instructor relationships are like warped by the fact that I was living with Paris. I don't
Okay, yeah,
like that
that's
that
slightly
kind of like
unusual. That's true.
that screwed with it a bit. Like I arranged to live with Paris before Paris accepted the instructor position, and Paris I think was more concerned about that than me. Like I said, I worked for a classmate of mine, so I was kind of like accustomed to that. I just told him like this isn't going to be weird. I'm fine with it, and it was a good room and it was a good spot to be in, so I didn't mind. Yeah, so I think there was like an instantly like a lot of familiarity with you guys there. Like I sort of saw you like you're helping me out, but you're not like in this like upper echelon. You're just kind of like my peers in a lot of ways. You're a little further ahead. You're running this program to help people in my position out, but it didn't feel like I was being like, like the professor in the front of the class. It felt like I had like, friends who cared about me, like, um, who had my back on these things. And I think that was really, really good for executing independently. Like I never felt like I couldn't ask for help, but I also always knew that like the first thing that I was going to be challenged on was like, what have you tried? How could you do this yourself? And I knew that was good for me too, because that's the thinking mode that I'm going to need to operate in after boot camp. That's what I'm trying to learn, is how to function independently, like as an engineer, as a white collar professional, as a person in a lot of ways. And the instructors like relationship always felt less like this exalted priestly class preaching down to me, and more like like a friend almost, who is there to like nudge me back in the right direction towards being the sort of person who can be successful in the environment I've decided to place myself in.
And moving forward, what's the sort of quality of help that you feel like you might expect from Fractal Tech, or like the quality of relationship that you might expect from the alumni network or whatever?
I
If you
feel
had
like
to, if you had to ask for help in the future in your career, how would that go?
not thought a ton about it, but it feels like I definitely have a network now. Like I feel like I plugged into like a very strong network. Like if I am looking for a job in New York, I would like the first thing I would do is probably like, I don't know, like God forbid the company I'm with folds in a year or whatever. I would like message you in Paris, like, hey, like I'm gonna be back on the job market. Do you know anyone who's hiring? Like, I use my resume. This is what I'm doing for the last little while. Like, can we get coffee and talk about like what's going on? You know, if anyone from like Fractal, like if you like reached out to me, like, hey, I have like another hotshot student. Like, is your company interested in bringing on interns right now? Like, it would be an instant yes. Like, of course I'll get coffee with this person. Of course I'll talk to my boss about it. Like, we'll figure out what we can do for that. Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought too hard about it, but it definitely feels like I plugged into this like immediate existing strong network. I don't feel like I'm like a total newcomer in this city. I feel like I have like people in my corner who I could rely on, who like also like can feel like they can rely on me. Like I feel like if I came to you like in a year and I'm like, hey, like, do you know anyone who's hiring? You wouldn't have any qualms with recommending me to someone because you've seen the quality of work I'm doing. You know, like the kind of professional I've become as a result of Fractal and as a result of everything I would have done since. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, worth saying, just since in some ways you haven't thought too much about it, it's like, yes, of course, part of the
Yeah.
way that we run the program and the reason that we are selective in the first place is just I want to be proud of all of my alumni and I want to be friends with them. Um,
Yeah.
or at least like uh, I I want to be professionally supportive and proud consistently with no qualms. I don't want that to be like with reservations, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so a big part of it is like, yeah, people should always be able to ask me for help. They should always be able to come back. If somebody, like, God forbid, gets into another rut in their career and is really struggling, like, theoretically, they should be able to come back, spend time in the place, like, get back on their feet and go back out there. Um, and obviously, that offer is available to you, as I hope you know, but and to all of our students. Um, I think one of the things that can be scary about other school opportunities is the idea that it ends after the school is over. And it's like in some ways it does, yeah. Like the container does, and like people will move on and their relationships will move on, and that part's normal. The idea that like our we develop a different network than the people we went to school with, that is completely normal and healthy. But the idea that I would feel afraid to ask them for help after I leave is definitely like unhealthy and strange. Uh,
Yeah.
I think
No.
like I went to a school with, I don't know, 200,000 students, so I certainly don't feel like it's appropriate for me to go ask career services for help.
Yeah.
Although realistically, I don't know, maybe they would help me.
Yeah. And also like frankly, just seeing the like level of energy that you guys put into this program, seeing the drive that you have to help people like to build this out and the fact that this is so early, I've also kind of had this like very pleasant hunch that like being a Fractal alum is like immediately valuable now. Like I can talk to you in Paris about job
The
opportunities.
value's going up, baby.
But like the value of that is going to compound. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel pretty confident that like there's a very good chance that 5 years from now, saying like, oh yeah, like I did Fractal back in 2025 would be like, you know, people who are in the know in the New York Texas would be like, oh shit, like you were early. Like, you know, that's I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing where that goes. I think it's really exciting.
Likewise, inshallah. I mean, it'll
Inshallah,
be
yeah.
possible with the help of our lovely alumni.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, I don't really have anything else unless you do. Like I said, if there's anything else that you think we should touch on, I
I'm
have
trying to
time.
think. Like I'm a very like sentimental person, like broadly. I'm very people describe me as very like earnest, like almost to a fault sometimes. And like it's sometimes kind of overwhelming. Like I am just like so profoundly grateful. Like I cannot actually like put it into words. I don't know what to say. Like it's fucking unbelievable like how much my life has changed in the last couple months. And like I worked really hard to get here. I'm not trying to discount myself.
It's all you. Yeah, it's all
But
you.
like on this front, like I would not have happened without this program that you've created and without that. And I it means the fucking universe to me, man. Like this is I don't even know what to say. Like I'm just thank you. I'm so fucking grateful.
Yeah,
I'm
you
really
are
glad, man.
very, very welcome. We built the program for you,
Yeah.
specifically you. Maybe.
Wow. Ian, nobody else. That's you can close up shop now. No, no,
Yeah,
you got
you
to keep it
you
open.
you
So
and everyone who's listening who wants
yeah,
to feel like Harrison.
yeah, no. You know, like it goes without saying that like the fact I immediately were like when Jared asked me like if it's something that he should consider, I immediately told him like, yeah, you should talk to Andrew about it. This went really well for me. The fact I was willing to refer him like speaks to that. That's like one of my best friends, and I really hope it goes well. I think it is going to go well for him. I want to teach it
Jared,
to
yeah,
other
dude,
people.
Jared's gonna crush. Are you joking
Jared's
me?
gonna.
Jared's
It's
gonna be
so funny, dude.
great.
He's so anxious about it. Like I think I'm kind of like
I know.
I
Every
don't
time
want
I
to
get on
like
a call with him, I'm like, Jared, what are you worried about? Like, you're gonna be one of my best students, and he's like, I don't know, like, what
Jared
if
is gonna
Harrison's a
like
genius and I'm not very good or whatever?
Jared, for every strength that I have that he doesn't have, he has a strength that I don't have. Like we're very similar people, we're just different ways. I'm more neurotic than he is, which has pros and cons. I joke that like he reminds me not to have a panic attack about stupid shit, and I have to remind him to like brush his teeth. Which like like it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think there's pros and cons to that, and I think he's going to crush next semester. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, yeah. I hope he makes it out here. He'd do
Yep.
really, really good work. In fact, maybe by then Supply Co's hiring.
Yeah, I
That's
was
the
I
dream.
was gonna actually talk to Claudia. Like, do you want to? She said she wanted to take on Fractal interns, so we'll see. We'll see.
Cool,
Yeah.
dude.
I have my only last thing. Maybe would just like we can also talk this another time. Is like curriculum feedback, kind of more specific stuff, but that might be outside the scope of this call. I already talked with Paris about some of this. I think
Yeah,
like
we can chat like literally just after the call, or
yeah,
or come
sure,
in another time. It might even
for
match a
sure.
lot of the stuff that I'm already planning.
Cool, cool,
Okay,
cool.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna wrap this up. Thank you,
sounds good.
Harrison. Was a
Great to talk,
pleasure
man.
to be your instructor. Also, very much congratulations on the job.
It was a
I look
pleasure to
forward to
be.
seeing you in 5 years.
It was a pleasure to be in the program, and I'm here in New York City for the foreseeable future, so I'm very, very excited about that.
Reach out to Harrison if you want advice on how to become a software engineer. He might secretly just tell you to do Fractal Bootcamp.
It's a pretty high probability, like 50% of you. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
All right. Take care.